In the depths of Finland's dark forests, a girl has been prepared for a war she never chose. Trained since childhood with skills beyond imagination, her story is about to unfold. This story is about a 15-year-old girl, Hannah, and her father, Eric. Both of them live in a house built in the dense forests of Finland. Since Hannah was 2 years old, Eric has been teaching her all the tricks of fighting. For the last 13 years, he has been training Hannah to hunt, target, and defeat her enemies in hand-to-hand combat. Eric used to be a CIA agent, but one day, he discovered a top secret of the agency. Since then, CIA's senior officer Marisha has wanted to kill him. That's why he lives here in hiding with his daughter. Eric has taught Hannah to speak many languages. One day, while reading a book, Hannah finds a picture of her mother, who is no longer alive. When Eric is teaching her about music, she asks what it's like to listen to music. "I want to hear it with my ears," she says. Eric replies that the outside world is not safe for her. However, Hannah doesn't understand. She insists that she is ready. After this, Eric goes outside, digs a pit, and retrieves a device. He tells her, "As soon as you press the button, the CIA will know where we are. But once you press it, there's no turning back. You'll have to kill Marisha, or she will kill you." Without hesitation, Hannah presses the button. As soon as she does so, the CIA detects their location. Marisha calls a meeting of her team. Some officers suggest handing the case over to Interpol, but Marisha argues that Eric is a dangerous and highly capable agent. "I've worked with him," she says, "and we need to handle this ourselves." Special forces are sent to capture them. Eric instructs Hannah to follow everything he has taught her. "We'll meet in Berlin," he says before leaving. The forces surround the house. 2 soldiers enter, but Hannah knocks them unconscious. However, the rest of the team captures her. In the next scene, Hannah is locked in a cell. An interrogator comes to question her, but Hannah insists on speaking only with Marisha. Instead of going herself, Marisha sends another agent to pose as her. The agent, equipped with an earpiece, answers Hannah's questions with Marisha feeding her responses. However, Hannah becomes suspicious. She hugs the agent, appearing emotional, but then springs into action, killing her. She grabs a gun and takes out the other guards. Marisha is shocked as Hannah disables the security camera and escapes. Meanwhile, scientists analyzing Hannah's DNA discover something unusual about it. Hannah breaks into the lab, takes her medical report, and escapes through a tunnel. Emerging in a rocky area, she hides under passing vehicles and eventually escapes into the ravine. She later encounters Sophie and Miles, 2 teenagers traveling with their parents. Sophie offers Hannah a ride in their van, but Hannah feels safer walking. Meanwhile, Marisha retrieves Eric's file from her locker and burns it. The story flashes back to when Marisha tried to kill Eric's family when Hannah was just 2 years old. Hannah's mother died in the attack, but Eric escaped with his daughter. Marisha has been hunting them ever since. Hannah reaches a village, where some women are washing clothes. She steals a set of clothes and changes. Nearby, she spots a hotel. She convinces the owner to give her a room by speaking to him fluently in Arabic. The hotel owner, impressed but surprised, provides her a room. For Hannah, this world is entirely unfamiliar. She's amazed by electricity, repeatedly turning the lights on and off. In her room, Hannah examines her medical report, which reveals extraordinary results. Meanwhile, Marisha meets an agent named Isaac in a bar and hires him to capture Hannah. Hannah crosses paths with Sophie again. Sophie and her family are staying at the same hotel. They invite Hannah to dinner, and she and Sophie bond over their conversations. The next morning, Sophie's family continues their trip, though her father is upset about someone breaking the van's sunroof. Meanwhile, Isaac and his men capture the hotel owner and extract information about Hannah. Checking the CCTV footage, they realize Hannah has escaped by hiding inside Sophie's van. Isaac kills the hotel owner and sets off in pursuit with his team. Eric, traveling to the city by water, encounters 2 policemen. He kills them and escapes, continuing his journey. Sophie and her family remain unaware of the chaos unfolding around them as they enjoy their trip. Hannah secretly watches Sophie and her family when Miles notices her, but decides not to tell anyone. As soon as the van stops, Hannah tries to run away, but Sophie spots her. Sophie invites Hannah to stay with her instead of running, and they quickly become friends. Hannah tells Sophie that she's going to Berlin to meet her father. Sophie introduces Hannah to a boy, and they all go for a bike ride together. When the boy tries to kiss Hannah, she humorously reminds him of his grandmother. Meanwhile, Isaac and his men search for Hannah in the tents, but fail to find her. Elsewhere, Marisha visits Hannah's grandmother's house, searching for Eric. When she doesn't find him, she shoots the elderly woman. The next morning, Sophie's family continues their trip. Isaac and his men spot their van and begin chasing them. Eric, now in Berlin, realizes he's being followed. A fight ensues, and Eric kills all the agents. From one agent's walkie-talkie, Eric learns that Marisha is still alive. He calls her and tracks her to her location. There, he kills one of her agents, but before he can confront her, Marisha escapes. Meanwhile, Hannah realizes that someone is following Sophie's van. Sophie's mother pulls her daughter aside, while Hannah warns Sophie not to follow her under any circumstances. She then jumps from the van and runs toward the port. Isaac and his men chase her, but she evades them by hiding among shipping containers. As one of Isaac's companions attacks her, Hannah kills him. Sophie witnesses this and runs away in fear. Isaac corners Hannah, but the way ahead is blocked. Hannah escapes by jumping into the water. Isaac's men capture Sophie's family and hold them hostage. Marisha arrives and interrogates each family member. She targets Miles, the weakest link, and he reveals that Hannah is headed to Berlin to meet her father. He had overheard Hannah's conversation with Sophie. Hannah reaches Berlin by sneaking onto a ship. From there, she heads to a park where Eric instructed her to meet him. At the park, she meets Neffel, a magician and an old friend of Eric's who works at a circus. Neffel, who is expecting Hannah, gives her a letter and a passport with an address written on the back. As they talk, Hannah asks Neffel about her mother. Neffel reveals that he knew her mother, describing her as a great singer. Neffel plays a song and begins dancing, allowing Hannah to hear music for the first time. Meanwhile, Marisha and her team arrive, searching for Hannah. Neffel hides Hannah under a bed on the upper terrace. Marisha and her men beat Neffel, demanding information about Eric, but he refuses to tell them anything. Marisha searches upstairs, while Isaac mentions that Neffel knew about the secret program. They mistakenly believe Eric is Hannah's biological father. Hannah overhears their conversation and, after they leave, escapes through the back door. Hannah goes to a cyber cafe and searches for information about Eric. She discovers that he is not her biological father, confirming Marisha's earlier claim. Hannah visits her grandmother's house, where she finds a picture of her mother on the wall, stained with blood and bullet marks. While Hannah is looking at the picture, Eric arrives. She confronts him, asking if he is her real father. Eric hesitates, but eventually admits the truth. He explains that he raised her, but Hannah demands the full story. Eric reveals that he was recruited by the CIA for a secret program that involved experimenting on pregnant women. Hannah's mother was one of them. The program altered the DNA of unborn children to suppress fear and compassion while enhancing their fighting abilities, effectively creating super soldiers. Eric had recruited 20 women for this program, but when Hannah was 2 years old, Marisha shut the program down and destroyed the research facility. Eric had orders to kill Hannah as well, but chose to save her instead. He trained her for 13 years to prepare her for the dangers she would face. Eric admits he is not her biological father, but insists that he loves her deeply. Overwhelmed, Hannah decides to leave. When Eric tries to stop her, she attacks him. At that moment, Marisha and her agents arrive. Eric tells Hannah to run while he distracts them. A fight breaks out, and Eric kills 2 agents before Marisha shoots him. Eric dies in the confrontation. Hannah, devastated, runs away, leaving behind the only father figure she has ever known. He is hanging upside down from the roof, dead. Marisha arrives, searching for him, but Hannah doesn't have a weapon to defend herself. She pulls an arrow from Neffel's body and tries to escape, but Marisha blocks her path. Marisha says, "I want to help you." Hannah responds, "Everything is over now, and I don't want to hurt anyone." She begins to leave, but suddenly an attack occurs from both sides. In the chaos, Marisha is injured by an arrow, and Hannah is shot. Despite her injury, Hannah gets back up and chases after Marisha. Marisha falls, and her gun slips from her hand. Hannah picks up the gun, approaches Marisha, and coldly says, "The target didn't hit the heart again." She then shoots Marisha, ending her life. One button press, one mission, zero mercy, a journey that will redefine everything you know about survival.